Hey there, and welcome to Tone Secrets with Petey Two Finger. I'm going to sit back with my Lollapalooza koozie. Yeah, I was there. I saw quite a few of the Lollapaloozas. The lists of the bands that I saw perform. I remember we smuggled in. I used to take, I would go to the liquor store and buy hard liquor, buy like rum. And I would get I would bring a box of baggies, sandwich baggies. And we would sit in the parking lot and pour rum into these sandwich baggies and tie it off, and then put it into another one and tie it off. And we would load all of our pockets up. And they would come and pat you down. They would kind of look at you and let you go in. And typically at these festival shows, they would stop selling beer at like 5 p.m. So by 7 p.m., everyone's hungover and they're like, yeah, and then me and my buddy are like jumping around. So, Tone Secrets. Eric Clapton's Mid Boost. Now, this is not for humbucker guys. This is for single coil strat guys. I'm a huge fan of Roger Waters' Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking album. And Eric Clapton plays on that. And I could never get close to those tones. And I'm like, what's he using? He's using some weird amp or some pedal. It's clean. It's clean. It's a clean sound, but it's... yeah, and even his distortion. It's just like the most vocal, throaty, rich guitar sound. And he does a lot of it's blues playing on that album. If you've never listened to that, you should just get it. Waters wrote it at the same time he wrote The Wall, and he brought both of those projects to David Gilmour and the rest of the guys in the band and said, "Which one do you want to do?" And they picked The Wall. But I mean, he wrote it at the same time he wrote The Wall, so he was in a creative peak in his life. So. It's a great album, and the guitar is unbelievable on it. I think it's Eric Clapton's finest moment. So Clapton has this built-in mid-boost, and some guys will say, "Oh, I really love using a tube screamer. It tightens up my low end." People are using it as a clean boost, and it's not so much that it's tightening up your low end; it's boosting the hell out of your mids. That's what's going on. It's not doing anything to the low end. But the perceived effect is, yeah. Also, you'll note some people will say, I really don't like playing a big muff because in a full band setting, you disappear in the mix. So this tells us, well, for me, I look at it and go, okay, the guitar is a mid-range instrument. That's where it lays in the frequency spectrum. So what is the most important frequencies to equalize on the guitar is the mid-range, and this is a mid-range boost. So it's a no-brainer, and this is a effect that's really kind of neglected. There aren't too many of them that exist. There aren't pedals that are like, hey, this is a mid-boost. And sure, it's something you could do with an EQ. When it came time for me to play with this, I read a guy who said he combined a custom wired up Alembic Strat and the Clapton mid-boost into one Strat. And he said, you couldn't crank both circuits, but if you set them at the Alembic at about half and turn the mid-boost up about 3/4, he said it was incredible. So that's what I did. I have a Junker Strat here. I built both of those circuits into it, and I played some of those Clapton songs, those riffs from that album, and it was like, there's that tone. I had a reverb and a crappy little solid state amp, and I was like, I can't believe how good this sounds with this first act test amp, It sounded so good I went and grabbed the reverb pedal because there is a little bit of like studio reverb on it, on that album. So that guitar doesn't get played, and I'm building myself a Demeter Fat Control. That's what I'm building. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And also, before we go in, I'm going to complain. Tata is, they're just not shipping their orders. they had their water day. I know I complained about this twice already, but your stuff comes in like 6 weeks after you've ordered. Like, what the heck, Tata? You guys had your week or 2 weeks off. That's ancient history now, and I'm ordering, and the orders are sitting for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I mean it's like it's a $15 order. It's resistors, it's a couple of Nutric jacks, and a couple of LED panel displays. So like little, when you turn the amp on, the thing glows, that little display. That. So yeah, I go and make another order. Anyway, you guys want to take a look? JHS had this joke about haunting mids. So he has this haunting mids pedal with a ghost on it. You can buy that PCB from Pedal PCB and build it yourself. Here's a perf layout for it, the haunting mids. The original pedal, well, there it looks like that. I think it's a 3 knob. Pedal PCB sells the Maleficent mids, so it's a 5532, any 5532, and watch out, don't buy those on eBay. You'll get fakes. You need the real deal Texas Instruments. You get those from Tata. We'll probably sell you an original. But if we put in mids, they probably have the Clapton Boost here. Mid Boost. The clap, that's the Clapton. This one is transistor. It's 3 2N 5088s and a 5087. And yeah, I'm guessing people love this. Really helps pushing single coils out through a mix. Used it on a clean amp with a plexi style amp. Sounds great through both. And man, this does. This is something, if you're watching this video and you haven't tried this yet, you're going to thank me later. Not a noticeable effect on humbuckers, yeah, so that's kind of jives with what I said. Definitely highly recommended, but it's more of a subtle thing on humbuckers. You can look over at, yeah, here's the demeter fat control. See, the JHS haunting mids, you can get a PCB for this over at Fuzz Dog for £5. This one here, the JHS, is for tweakers. It's more complicated. The demeter is a 1 knob pedal. So it just depends on what you want. This high or low sets your peak. So at high, it's going to peak like this. Low, it's going to be more of a slope. The sweep sets the frequency, and then the mids is your volume of your mids. So there's an overall volume, then there's the mid volume, and the sweep adjusts where the peak of the frequency lays, and this adjusts the sweep. So, yeah, you can really dial it in. Me, I'm not interested in turning this into a big deal because I know I built one of these, and this was perfect. For a Strat, this sounds incredible. So it's a polarity diode. You don't really even need to worry about that, but you kind of do. 1N5817 calls for an obsolete 3F442 IC op-amp, dual op-amp chip. So anything TLO72, NE5532, don't buy those on eBay, you'll get counterfeit. I think somebody recommended a 353 or an LM833. But yeah, it's just a handful of resistors and capacitors. This is a great circuit. And I'll tell you, when you like, I built it into a guitar, and I was thinking this time around like building it into an amp. No, I'm building it into a pedal. That way, it could be a tone shaping tool. Like even if you're using, a multi-effector, you could have a nice compressor, and then that mid boost in front of it, just to hone it a little bit. And I cannot overstress how great that demeter compulator sounded like. I, I forgot doing it with an EQ. These circuits are simple enough to just build one and box it up. Like everything I needed to make it, it came up to like, it was like $22 with shipping from Tata, but I did not purchase a stop switch from them. And there might have been a couple other small things. Not really. I think I bought just about everything. So that's a quickie. If you don't have a mid boost, this is a tone secret that really works well. And I mean, if you think about it, like this should make sense to you. If you're a guitar player who's been around and understands the concept of like even why this isn't a good idea with humbuckers, he said, hey, yeah, it does make a little bit of a difference. It will goose you a little bit. But this is also an interesting piece because you could pair it with a big muff and see what happens. Right? It's not going to hurt. It's not going to take more of those mid frequencies away. Although I remember I used to scoop my mids on a big muff. Back in the 90s when that's what you did if you were a guitar player. Mids, get that out of here. Right? Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me for this tone secret. I hope it made you think, at least. I know a lot of times people watch this stuff and it's like kind of in one ear, out the other. You're not going to actually go and order a bunch of parts and build something. But if you do, get back to me and let me know what you thought of this. I'm excited about this one. I tend to build pedals and they go in a collection. I don't really use them. It's just something for me to do, and it keeps me busy and keeps me going, and it's fun. But then I've got them and eventually be using them, be recording with them, because at some point I want to do that. I'd like to step away from the like all digital recording that I do and just experiment a little bit more. I've mic'd amps before. I used to do all that big boy stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. And if you've ordered from Tata and you're waiting on your parts, I would love to hear about that. Next year, I'm going to make sure no part ordering in the spring. Do it all before and after that. Stupid water day. All right, you guys take care of yourselves, and